Hello and welcome. This is Saraduxos, and I'm gonna give it a try to make a little video on how to auto farm on Mafia City. And there's two ways to do it for free. There's a lot more ways to do it for free and to pay for it, of course. But this is the way I do it, and I think this is the simplest way to get it to work without having to modify installer files and shit like that. This is either one or two programs, and you use your Windows internal scheduler to make it outrun. I'll show you the simplest way. We start off by going to something called ldplayer.net. Sorry for my English. And you will download the LD player, either player 5 or player 9, doesn't really matter, both will work. It's up to you. It pretty much depends on if you're running an older Windows or Windows 10 or Windows 11. Windows 11 I found has some issues with any emulator, so I'd recommend Windows 10 or earlier, but it will work on Windows 11, but then you have to take the LD Player 9. The LD Player 5 is a lighter version, so it might be better if you're using an old computer like me. Once you have it installed, you will fire up the LD player. You should get the LD multiplayer icon from it, but if you don't get it, it should be under start menu and so on, because this is the screen you want. Once in here, as you see, I already have two here, but you won't, it will be empty, so you will do a new, and make sure you always use new LD player, clone LD player. Small disk mode, that only limits the amount of disk the LD player can use, and you can change that later, so I wouldn't use that. So you create a new LD player. This will take you roughly 30 seconds or something like that. Once you're in here, you will have to do some changes, because you would want it to act like a mobile phone, not a tablet or anything like that, because that just takes too much from your computer. So you go to settings, you go to mobile mode, probably take the smallest one because you don't really need it. I would recommend dropping the cores down to 2, but if you're using your PC for nothing else but the emulator, you can go for full-on cores. That's pretty much that. Make sure that you have some kind of model here. You can use any preset you want, an S10 or something. It doesn't really matter. You just need to have one. You don't need to do anything here. On audio, I would suggest that you don't have anything here, because you don't need any audio in an emulator. Save settings, then you fire up your emulator. This is where it differs, the two ways to do it. The simple way, you use just one simple emulator, and that is what I'm going to show you in the beginning. First time you start the emulator, it takes longer because it's adjusting everything. And I would suggest you fire it up and then go take a coffee or something like that, because the first time you start it, it will keep updating the Android system, the apps and stuff like that, which is a bit annoying because your Play Store will start again and again while you're loading it and stuff like that. So just leave it for a little bit, Then you go to Play Store and you do your sign in, which I am not going to do right now. As you see, you're updating Google Play here, so this will keep screwing with your login here. But since I don't be sharing my login details with you guys, I'm simply just going to terminate this live player and start the one I've already finished. I'm quite sure you can actually handle login without me guiding you. So this is my preset. What I've done is I've moved all the spare app icons to the next page to make sure I don't have any interference. No idea why it did that, but well, back here, I need to show you first is, of course, once you have logged into your Android account and you would use the account for the farm, of course. You will search for Mafia City and you will install the app. You'll also go to manage your apps and devices and make sure that you update everything available. There's also going to be a pop-up asking you to activate Wi-Fi. You should do that because then you will auto-update Mafia City all the time. If not, you're going to have to do it manually. Once in here, you will log into Mafia City account, and as it's the first time, you're going to end up having this start well, newbie start function. So you're going to have to play through that, how to add more apps, and you will have to go to not more apps, more accounts. And this is your normal well, the emulator's version of settings on your mobile phone, and you have accounts here, and here you can add all the accounts of all the servers or forms you have, which means that you can easily swap between each form, but you have to add them all. But that is something you do after your first startup. Now, see that change account here. Links more anything. There's something you have to do. Immediately go to settings, in-game features, turn off any sound. I would probably suggest you go to low quality on emoticons, quality settings, screen resolution. Do not drop it to low because, well, you can do that once you're done with everything, but it's going to be a pain to see stuff if you go to low. Would remove the movement trails. Pretty much turn off anything that you will see here, that like weather effects, this is very crucial. Have it on so the camera doesn't follow your crime ops, because that messes with your search function. You can turn off all the holiday stuff, cross server effect displays, well, anything you can see in here that old interface is a lot less demanding. You want to minimize the load on the computer. Daily mission chests, not gonna be something you want on a farm. Tool tips, no, that's copyright wave alert. Well, I prefer not having my farms in a clan that has copyrights at all, so it doesn't matter. Battle report, armored truck alert, all that shit you can remove if you want. There's kind of nothing in here. You can do the automated log deletion, but I wouldn't recommend that because I'm not sure if you actually get the rewards in the mail if you do that. This is, well, pretty much not necessary, any of it. Well, kind of go through it, see if you can find stuff that you think that will pop up or interfere with stuff. Just turn it off. So see, I've turned most of the stuff off. That's it for preparing your forms. Now you can actually, not first off, this is something crucial. You need to have, well, if you want to scroll in and out, you have to use control and your scroller on the mouse. I wouldn't recommend it because you don't want to mess with the scroll settings, because then the macro won't work. But you want to have your tiles, at least 4 of them, sitting in a position where you can actually reach them easily. And as you see here, I have cash, metal, well, not ideal, but I have all 4 reachable. So you find a way to get all 4 inside the screen, so you can click on them. And they have to be the same on all forms you're going to use. That is very crucial. So you're going to have to work a little bit with moving your inside tiles. Once that's done, we leave it and we can actually start recording. You go to this one, Operation Recorder, or Control plus H. Get this little nice menu up here and you simply start recording. Now this is crucial. Click somewhere else, 1 click, 2 clicks, something like that, because you have to get some input into the macro for it to actually start counting the time. Then you kind of leave it for 15 to 20 seconds, and that is to handle the lag from booting up. Once you've left it for, let's do 20 seconds here. I've done 30, but that's too much. Then you click on your Mafia City icon and you do it like 1-2 click, a double click every 3 seconds for maybe 15 seconds to make sure you don't miss it because of the lag. Maybe you're using your PC for something else, so it's a little bit slower that time. Once you get in here, it doesn't really matter what pop-up screen you get, ignore it. You always go for this corner up here where the cross is and where the gold is, and you start clicking it, and you click it maybe 10 times with 1 second interval. And that is to neglect all the pop-ups and stuff. You can actually do it 2 times if you want, and you end with 1 click back every time. You go immediately to your city map. Once on the city map, you do one more, click on gold, and I'm gonna pause the recording a little bit. Depending on if you want to maybe hit mercs, then or you simply do tiles, then you need to make sure to check that this is set up. If you want to do mercs, make sure this is set to level 1 mercs or level 5 or 4 or whatever you want to do, but it has to be set to that in advance. Once you're done with, maybe do a test run, you start recording again, and you will send out your tech crew. Oh, this is not how it's supposed to be, but that's because this farm has never done mercs. So, but that's not how it's going to be for you. But the idea is that you record, send out 5 crews, and as you see, I have not done mercs before, which means that it's going to be a problem for me. But you will do it 5 times if you have a farm that has the capability to hit mercs. Once done, you kind of wait until the crew gets back, all of them, a little bit more, and then you click on the heal icon and activate the healing. If you don't, you're going to sooner or later run out of crew. I'm not going to bother about that. Then of course you go to your goal button again to neglect any pop-ups. You will do this gold clicking and back between everything you do. That is the key to not screw up the macro, because there will be pop-up events and stuff like that all the damn time, and they are changing and everything. But yeah, it's, and also if you're using it in seasonal, you will have one more icon here, which means that your normal search button will sit here. In seasonal, it's sitting here, so you will have to have another macro for seasonal. That's the only difference. But that's not a big problem, because you do one macro and use it for all your forms. Especially if you do the second version I do, but it will work. Once you're done with your mercs, you will tell the simply swap over to whatever you want. For me, I'm running level 1 whiskies on this farm. If you'd do something else, you would have it changed, of course, and you don't record the change because it remembers where you use what you searched for the last time. So that's crucial. Do not alter this while recording. Pause it and change it if you want to change it. Then you send out your crews, and do not click too fast, because that will make you miss some of the gathering. In normal cases, this would be a cash farm, so I would send it for tier 6 tiles. And as you see, I've set it to load, and I'm using pretty much only T2 trucks. You don't need anything else for a normal farm. Once you send all your 5 crews, if you are using it for mercs also, you have to always go back here and do a search. That is just to reset the macro to where it was last time. Once done here, click on your city, and as you see here, a lot of other crap. That's why you do the gold. Then you go to this green patch, you click and hold, and you pull straight down, and you should have your in-game tiles here, so you can do you can empty them. Once done here, you can, if you want to do, if you're in an active clan with your farm, maybe want to go gold again, and then you go to clan, and you can do, for example, the contribution. So you can choose to do the contribution here. If you have a form that can do an instant one, you can do that. This one can't, so I'll simply do a single one or a couple of clicks or something like that. Go back. Help is very good to do. As you see, I click in an empty area to neglect any pop-ups. You can scroll down and grab the clan jobs, because they are something that you need to do daily also. And I also click here a couple of times just to neglect any pop-ups. Once done, you can do this one also if you feel like it. That's kind of helpful for well, tile farm. This is where the macro will differ. If you just want to use one instance, I would suggest you stop the recording here and you name it like form 1. This is going to be your startup form, and you start a new recording. Now you go over here to settings, account, switch account. And if you're using Google, then you're doing this way. You will see that I do not have a second account, but if you have like 5 accounts, you can swap here to the next one, and that way it will jump over to the next form, log in, and you can do a recording for the next form. And once you're done, you stop it again, and the third and the fourth, and make sure that the last form moves back to the first account. That's crucial, or the recording won't work. Once you're done with all your recordings, you will have like form 1, form 2, form 3, form 4, form 5. You will merge the scripts. Make sure you take them in the correct order. You merge them. You will have a merged script here. This is the only script that you have to press. You will execute the script when the LD player starts. That's to make sure that it actually starts from the beginning. And you will do a restart LD player after on a normal form. I'll do 240 minutes. If you're got higher tier forms, maybe you can shorten that time a little bit. It all depends on how long it takes for you to empty the tiles. In seasonal, you can probably do it in maybe 100 seconds, because those tiles are a lot faster. You have to take the time for each farm into account here. So if you have like a 5-minute macro on each farm, you have 5 farms at 25 minutes, and you want to have a 240 minute rotation, you have to add those 25 minutes, so it would be 265 minutes instead, because this timer starts as soon as the first macro starts. But that's about it. Once you've done this, save it, and you can restart your recorder, or emulator, I mean. For me, that's not interesting because I don't run it this way, but this is the simplest way. Let's move on to the way I do it. This demands a second program though, and it's a program called Tiny Task. It's a little free program, extremely easy to use. What it does is it records your key clicks and lets you convert that key click macro into an executable file, so an exe file. And the reason we want an exe file is because we want to be able to use the Windows scheduler to run it, try to use the Windows scheduler to run instances of Nox recorder, and they can start them. Unfortunately, they can't shut them down, which kind of neglects the purpose of it, because you can't have like 10 emulators running at the same time. It will flood your computer's memory, and it's just not going to work. But for this tiny task macro to work, you have to position your LD multiplayer on a fixed position. This is crucial. I am actually gonna swap over to my server that I'm running through TeamViewer now. I'm hoping this will work. Why isn't it? Okay. So now I'm on my server, and as you see, here's all my forms. And this is the program I'm talking about. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna edit this. This is a little program you're gonna download. You're gonna run it, and it's just gonna open this tiny little menu. See, there's not much you can do here at all. You don't need to do anything at all. All you need to do is hit record for it to record. But back to here. As you will see, I've done one instance for each form. So every instance here is set up the same. It's only logged into this forms Google account. This is logged into this forms Google account, which means that what I do is I simply do the macro we recorded with the stock for the first form. And instead of saving and creating a new record where I swap account, I don't do that. I end there. So they have one each. Let's fire up one just for showing you how it looks. And I also actually split the recordings. So I have one recording for the first part where I'm doing the tiles. I have one recording for where I do the internal tiles inside the turf, and I do one for donations, and then I merge the script, which means that I can change like the first part of it if I want to go into seasonal and do a new merge script. The server is a little bit slower, so you will see that I've probably got a lot longer times. The good part with doing this is you do one macro for all of them. They will use the same macros. So if I go here, you will see I have the standard script here, and I have the seasonal rotation over here. It sometimes installs apps without your acknowledgement, so it's good when you do changes to keep uninstalling this, because they just fill up your disk space. But not with that. This is the standard macro. Nothing strange here. I have only one account per instance. But now you have all your forms, you have set them up, you have one macro that works on all forms, you've tested everything, and you're happy with it. Now it's the time consuming part, and this is something you do one time and never more. And the only thing you really need to know about is you have to have a fixed position for this window, and you need to know the time it takes for a macro to run its full course. For me, it's 4 minutes 30 seconds pretty much, so I'm using 5 minutes. I'm using like a little egg counter or a stopwatch or whatever, you need to do that. And during this recording, you have to have your focus on that clock. So you start your recording and you start your first farm. And what you do now is you simply let the macro run its course for this farm. You have your 5 minute stopwatch or whatever time it takes. And once the time runs out, and you're sure that the macro is finished here, then you simply click close and you confirm it, and you wait the time it takes for this to stop run. You go to the next one, you click that one, you start your stopwatch, and you wait your stopwatch time, whatever it takes for the farm to run its course. And once again, you will click close, wait for it to stop running, you go to the third farm, and you repeat, and you repeat every step. And you can easily do more than the farms you see here, because once you get to the last one here, you will simply grab a hold of the bar on the side and pull it down. And then you do the next and the next. Once you come to the end, you make sure you record pulling it back up to the top. Once you have done all this, you stop the recording, you save the task, and you can save it wherever you want. I'm going to save it to desktop right now because it's simpler. And this is main farm. This is just to keep that recording. It will show up as a video, but ignore it. Next step is converting this to an exe file that you do by clicking the .exe here. Its name can be the same. Now you will have this file, and that's the crucial file for everything. Once you've done this, just terminate Tiny task. You will go to your control panel, and I'm sorry for the Swedish here. I think that you can handle it anyway. This is the administration tool. You click on that one, and you should have like the scheduler down here. So you open this one up, and in here you will see that I have already got one, but in your case you want to create an activity. You can call it whatever, Mafia forms maybe, or something like that. It is not essential. I would, if you're using computer that several people are using, I would make sure you run it no matter who is logged in or not. But if it's a standalone computer like mine, you can use run it when this user is online. That's pretty much everything you need to do here. Then you go to trigger, create a new trigger. Not sure what's, and this is the crucial part. You can do it one time a day. Start date doesn't really matter, but you want to, this you can't use, unfortunately. If you could have set it to 3 hours or 2 hours, it would be great, but you can't. So you can't use that. and you want to make sure that you don't have any stop functions or that land ends or something like that. But you pick a time here, and what I do is I run it every third hour. So I put in here 1300, let's say, I press OK, and then I do a new one, and I go to 1500, and you want to fill this with a new one every third hour or every second hour, depending on how fast your farms are doing their work. But this is the thing that sets how often you start your farms. Once you put in all your dates you want to start it, you go to next tab here and you do a new one and you choose start a program, and then you go and find your little macro you just done, this exe file, and I call this main farm exe. So I add this one. You don't need an argument or anything, you just click OK. Then you go to conditions, and you pretty much don't need anything here. I'm not sure even why I have started this activity of the computer goes on constant power, but you don't need this at all. You can have nothing in here. You have to make sure that allow this activity to run on request, and it's good if you take the abort this activity if it runs longer than perhaps like 3 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours. I'll put 3 days there because I have no issue with it, but it's if something locks up, it's good it terminates and restarts. Okay. And also make sure you take this force activity to stop if the stop request isn't working. Those are critical. Once all this is done, well, press OK and you will have it here. And you don't really need to do anything but wait now. I'm going to remove this because as you see I already have one here that I right now got inactivated. We can take a look at it for you. So you see here I got 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, 22, and I've done, and I've run it every day, of course. My bad. It can't be once, it has to be every day. Sorry about that. And that's it. Here's my file position. Here, as you see, I don't have anything. And I've also put in run this activity as soon as possible if the scheduler misses its running. I'm not sure if that's actually necessary. Oh, and don't use this abort activity if it doesn't run any longer. That's about it. Once you've done this, you can turn it off and it will run flawlessly. But you have to have execute script with LD player. And as you see, I'm using execution speed 0.08 times the normal speed, and that is because my computer is a slow as computer, and I want to make sure it doesn't lag so I miss something. But the best way is to actually record the macro a bit slower. That's it from me. Do not think that there is anything else I need to tell you. No. I hope you understand this guide and you find it useful.